Welcome back, Tamers, Digidestin, and all our colorful friends in between. It's time for the King's Court, and today I'll be doing an updated deck profile for the Beat 2.0 format of DarkNightmon, or DarkNightmon, as some people know my sense of humor. That's the deck we played. So far, I've been testing it. It's pretty good. Before we get into any more about the profile and kind of thoughts about it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and go for notifications so you know when we upload consistently. Make sure to follow our social media. Link will be down below in the description box. And question of the day: what do you play in the 2.0 format? Are you playing DarkNightmon? Are you playing Purple Base Lord Nightmon? Are you playing Bees? Are you playing anything new in the new sets? If so, let us know down below, and let us know if you want to see this deck in action. There is a few games I have played with this deck, and it is very funny. So if you know how DarkNightmon kind of works, it's all about this level 5. DarkNightmon, of course, is the main focus of the deck, and we are using the Twilight, because that's kind of what the deck falls under. Just note that there is a card missing from the deck. One I'll get to when I'll get to what I am missing. I'm missing one copy of a card. I just never picked up the last copy of it. That's on me. And then the other thing is we are missing a level 4 that we will be playing, and that's only because it is not in this half of the set. For those you don't know, 2.0 got separated into 2 sets, so unfortunately we are missing the card that would actually help this deck a lot more. I'll get to what I'm playing instead, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's just get on, shall we? Oh, and if you see the hand, I sprained it last week, so we should be good. So for this profile, I will have this on just because it hurts to not have it on. Yeah. So for Tamas, we are playing 3 copies of Monimon. This would be 4, but I don't have the 4th one, and I don't feel like ordering it. Simple. On deletion, draw 1. If you have Black Tamer. Really easy to trigger, and honestly, really good egg. And then we followed it up with 2 copies of Pagumon. If you have the top card of your deck, if it's a black Digimon, add it to your hand. Place it at the bottom of the deck. The reason you want more of this one is because you will not whiff as often as you will on this. Because we are playing a higher Tamer / option count, whiffing on this hurts. Especially if you send a Nene to the bottom, which you do need. Spoiler, we are playing Nene. But this is always good to just draw. So both are good eggs, which is why you still are playing. Even if you're playing this at 4, this is a 1-off. This is your one other egg. Because you're not really... So there is the... I want to call it the little coin dude egg. And while you could play that because you want to draw, you're not really leading anything in battle with your own Digimon. So you don't really need to do that. So that's our Thomas. It's 5. Excuse me. Alright, for our level 3s, we are first playing 4 copies of the BT19 Moditamon. So, on deletion, you reveal top 3. Add a card with the Nightmon in text or Twilight in the trait, and then place one starch card under your Tamers, and put the rest at the bottom of your deck. So, you add one, and then you tuck one. So it's really good. It helps you save and get options for your plays later. And then with the rest at the bottom. And then if you do Digimon on top of this, it gives reboot. That's pretty good. Honestly, there are times that I don't hit the second part of the effect, hit the 1. And I believe it says add 1. You may and place 1 such card, so you have to do it. So yeah, this is really good for that, just to kind of tuck your cards, get more pieces, stuff like that. And since this is Nightmon in text, you can add your Deadly Axemon to your hand. You can add your Nene to your hand. You can add Lord Knight Ace to your hand. Spoiler, we are playing Lord Nightmon Ace. So it's really good. And then for our next cards, our next 4 of, it is 4 copies of BT10 Monitamon. This card is still really good, honestly. So on play, it'll look top 4. And add 2 cards that are either black with Nightmon or Deadly Axemon in their names, or with Twilight trait among them, and put them plus the rest of your deck. So since it doesn't say Digimon cards, you can add Nene, any Nene card because they're going to be Twilight. You can add the option Immortal Ruler, which has Twilight trait in this Twilight trait, And since you can add any Nightmon that's black, you can add the promo Nightmon, Skull Nightmons, Deadly Axemons, Lord Nightmon Ace. This card has only gotten better as we've gotten more cards that he can search. And it's a 3-drop, so no inheritable, but it's fine. Now for our level 4s that are pretty much still the bread and butter of this deck. 3 copies of BT7 Skull Nightmon. So, excuse me. This card is still good because you can swing with it, and it goes when attacking, you trash all the sources of a Deadly Axemon. Then you place it at the bottom of this card's sources, and you devolve into a DarkNightmon without paying the cost. And then you gain Secure Attack +1. So, Secure Attack +1 is the inheritable. This card has Nightmon or Bogremon in name. So what you do is you'll swing with this. If you have a Deadly Axemon on field, either thanks to say Pride Memory Boost or like you DD Cross something into it, you go with this swing, devolve to Dark Knight. You're automatically going 2 checks, and depending on what Dark Knight you go into, it can be a 10k 2 checks. This is really good for pressure. Still really good, honestly. It used to be a 4 of in the deck. Like, honestly, this was like the best level 4 for Skull Nightmon. Even the one that we got in EX4 was like okay, but it like really wasn't. Really wasn't the necessary card either. Just because like it was good. It gave us more names for Skull Nightmon, which we needed. But honestly, this card I think just does does everything we need and more. And that is 4 copies of the promo Skull Nightmon. So on deletion, you can play a Tamer card with Nene Amano. Amano in name, so it's either Nene or you. And then from your hand or trash, it'll pay its cost, and then save. So the fact that you get to play from people get to play from trash is really good. And then you save, which is really good. Which is like, thank God. So I've said it before to people who know me who play this deck know, not having save really hurts this deck because you run out of sources really hard. And then inheritable, while this Digimon has the Bogger Army or Twilight trait and is level 5 or higher, this Digimon gains Secure Attack +1. Unfortunately, that means your Lord Knight Ace will not gain Secure Attack +1, but honestly, with Collision, you really don't worry about that because you also have access to, well, if you're playing Fist with the end, you're fine. But this helps your Dark Knights swing for 2 checks, which that kind of pressure is really good early game because you can kind of get your Dark Nightmons up pretty quickly. To go with him, or with Skull Nightmon, is our 3 copies of his friend Deadly Axemon, his noble steed. One of the best searchers in the deck because it is look top 5. Add 2 cards with Nightmon in their names from under your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom. And then gives Nightmon or Bogremon 2k DP. This makes on your turn, your Lord Knight Ace 14k. Which, is really good. Because that means you don't really need to worry about what you run into security a lot. Because you're going to get over most things. And again, top 5 cards. Like this, because of all the new Nightmon cards we have, this card has gotten only significantly better. And being able to search for at 5. I mean, do we need to go over how good the Huckmon for Jesmon is? It look top 5 at Royal Knights and Sistermons. Come on. And then, so this is what so I'm playing 2 of the EX4 Deadly Axemon. If this was the Shademon, I would rather be playing the Shademon, but this is still good. So it's by trashing 1 card with Twilight or Blue Flare and traits, you draw 2. So most of your cards in your deck now are Twilight trait, Mighty Axe Mode, Dark Nightmons, yada yada yada. A lot of those are Twilight traits, so you can draw 2. And then on deletion, so if he dies, you can reveal a top card. If it's a Blue Flare or a Twilight trait, you add it to your hand. Trash the rest. You will rarely whiff on that effect, which is really good. And then the inheritable is 1k DP, which is all turns. So it's really good. That makes your Lord Knight Ace 13, which is actually really nice. So that's when you have to play against Gallon because they can pop it still, but neither here nor there. And then our final 3 cards for a little more filtering and searching are 3 copies of Skull Nightmon Mighty Axe Mode. So Skull Knightmon Mighty Axe mode it's treated. Its name has Skull Knightmon and Deadly Axemon, so you can use it for either one of the sources you need to for Digicross. You can Digicross -1 using Skull Knightmon and Deadly Axemon, so it's a 2 cost. And then if you on play, you look top 3, add a card with Knightmon, Deadly Axemon, or Nene Amana to your hand, among with your hand, trash the rest, and if Digicross using 2 cards, you delete a play cost 4. So you add 1. Once you add 1, you're fine. You mainly play this card just because it's a Digicross requirements allow you to play a Dark Knight. Allow you to search. Alright, and now for the level 5 that makes this deck good, and that is, we're starting off with 4 copies of the new hotness, which is the new BT19 DarkNightmon. And I love this card. 1 is purple-yellow, so it means we finally have access to multicolor without having to be our level 6. And finally, that little text at the top, material save. Finally, this deck has access to a material save. You might not think we need it, but it helps out. So all player when Digivolving. So finally you have a Digivolving effect. You can Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. Then if you were Digicrossing with 2 cards, you can delete a play cost 3 Tamer or Digimon. Oh my god, we needed that. And then on deletion, you play a level 4 lower Digimon with Knightmon in its checks from your Tamers underneath by not paying the cost. So you trigger save, and then you can play out. Really good. And then on deletion is the inheritable. You play 1 level 4 lower Digimon with Knightmon in its text from your trash without paying the cost. This can get you Deadly Axemon, this gets you Skull Knightmon, this gets you Monitamon. It gets you pretty much any of your level 4 lower game. And honestly, will get you so much more. And then our other level 5 is, of course, 4 copies of BT10 DarkNightmon. If you want to play BT7 DarkNightmon, you can, but I just like this because it's on play. You Digivolve 1, and then delete one of your opponent's Digimon would play cost 5 or less. Against a Dynasmon player at my locals, you know who you are. He would always have a level 5, level 6 on board that he did on top of a Angelomon Ace. So being able to go this, Digivolve the stack, and then pop the Ace, so basically making this a 1 cost was pretty nutty. And then all turns, if this Digimon will be deleted by returning, you return 1 level 4 to your hand, and then you play the other. So you can return, say, the Dark Knight, Deadly Axe, or the Skull Knightmon, and you play the other. So if you, kind of depending what you need, you add 1 back. We'll pay 8 level 5s, but that's because we need to make room for this. So our level 6s are now 3 copies of the new Lord Knightmon Ace. So it's a counter blast Digivolve. Everyone knows that effect. So when Digivolving, you may play 1 level 5 or lower Digimon card with Knightmon in its text from either your hand or trash without paying the cost. And then all Digimon with DP less than or equal to this have collision. Includes himself. So you can play any DarkNightmon, which is really what you would want to do. You can play any of your level 4 lowers. All have collision. And this gives us a good top end, because like I said, with Bog, if you have the old Skull Knightmon and the old Deadly Axemon, it's a 14k 2 checks hitting in most cases, which is really good still. I don't need to really say much about Lord Knightmon Ace, because it's that good. It's really good. Our last 2 level 6s we play, and you can change these out, but I'll talk about that later, are 2 copies of DarkNightmon X Antibody. When Digivolving, you may return 1 black-purple Digimon from your hand, from your deck, from your trash to your hand, except DarkNightmon X. And then if this DarkNightmon is in the sources, you can delete 1 Tamer and unsuspend its Digimon. So this is good for going for game, because you can go delete Nene, and I'll talk about that later. And then on deletion, you play DarkNightmon from your trash without paying the cost. That's really good. Any DarkNightmon you can play is really good from this effect. And we need it because, I'll talk about what you can play instead of this after I finish up. But DarkNightmon X is still really good because it's a 14k, 2 checks. For our Tamers, we play 2 copies of BT10 Nene Amano. Nene is still a great Tamer. She is on play, you reveal top 4. Add 1 card with Knightmon or Deadly Axemon in its name, or the Twilight trait into among your hand, place rest at the bottom. Opponents turn, all of your Digimon with DarkNightmon in name or Twilight in their traits gain blocker. Thanks to collision, you would have blocker anyway, but this just helps not worry about not having blocker. Unfortunately, DarkNightmon X will have it because he's still DarkNightmon, but it helps out. And then on deletion, you gain 2 memory. So if you put your opponents at 2 going into this, you pop this, you go back to 0, unsuspend, you swing game. That is the tried and true combo of deck was to go for that combo at the end, but you know, that's what you do. Good to have that kind of combo. Okay, 2 copies of the new Nene Amano from BT19. She is a memory setter. Thank God we don't have to play Izzy anymore, or the Structure Deck Tai. And then all turns when a composite or Twilight Fairy Digimon from your hand would be Digicrossed. Requirements would be played by suspending this tamer. You can use one card on your tamers and 1 card in your trash. Thankfully, thanks to Skull Nightmon, we now have access to this better. And again, you needed that because having a memory setter and then having this be able to play something out is really good. And if you remember that effect, it's because we are playing 4 copies of Kiriha and Nene. So this has both Nene Amano and Kiriha. That's fine. Start your main phase. If there are 2 more Digimon to play, gain 1 memory. If you have 2 Digimon, means you gain 1. So it means in most cases you're starting at 4 memory if you have both the Nene and this. And then all turns when Digimon with Blue Flare or Twilight traits would be Digicrossed, you can suspend this tamer, do the same thing as the other Nene. This means that we have access to all of our Digicross requirements, no matter what, and it means that we have access to our trash becomes our second hand, which is interesting. But that's because we go into our option cards, and we play 3 of 3. If you can play 4, but I was for like 3 of Immortal Ruler. So if you have Nene, its color requirement is not worryable. You don't worry about it. You play it, and its main, you trash the top 2 cards of your deck, and then you play a DarkNightmon from your trash for its play cost. If you have Digicross requirements, you can Digicross from the trash. That's why we only play DarkNightmons that have Digicross requirements. And since it is DarkNightmon, the brackets, it has to be DarkNightmon. It cannot be DarkNightmon X, but I don't know why you'd want to play it for full 13 cost. And then secure, you just add this card to your hand. So being able to mill 3 and then play a DarkNightmon back means that your hand is kind of, like I said, your trash is your second hand. So think Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of like Zombies and some other decks where, you know, your graveyard is your second hand, kind of like also Dragon Rulers, Tier Limits kind of do that too. Shout out to Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. If you played Yu-Gi-Oh! You know what I'm talking about. Having a graveyard as your second hand is pretty funny. Two copies of DG Dimension. This card is pretty good. I haven't been able to use it as much as I'd like to. So when you play this card, if you have a black tamer, reduce it by 1. So it's a 7 cost option that Digivolves 1 on 3 of your opponent's Digimon. And then you pop 3 of your opponent's Digimon whose play cost is 6 or less. This can clear boards a lot more than you think it would be able to, because you're able to Digivolve and then pop. I've had this happen where you can pop 2 Ukomons or whatever pops tamers. You know, it's just really good to be able to get rid of cards like that. So it's really good. If you want to play Iron Fist and Onslaught, you can. If you want to play Fist of Athena, you can. If you want to play Ultimate Flare, you can. There are a lot of cards you can play instead, but I chose this, and this card's worked so far pretty well. And the last card is Pride Memory Boost, which is our preferred memory boost. You reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You may play 1 black Digimon with a play cost 4 or less among them without paying the cost. Trash the rest and then play this. Place in the battle area and delay its 2 memory. Being able to play out any of your 4 costs is stupid. Anything 4 or less you play is stupid. Because this lets you play out all of your cards. All of your level 4s. All your level 3s. For nothing. And then if you have... Then later on you can pop this, go to 5, play a DarkNightmon. Pretty good. So the cards I recommend can say that if you want to play these instead, you can. So the 2 cards you can replace the Deadly Axemon from EX4 is 2 copies of Maildramon. It is Cyborg. It does not have Twilight Trait, so you cannot search it. You can only search it with the new Monitamon, because it does say Nightmon in text. And it says, all turns when one of your Digimon with Nightmon in their text would leave the battle area. By placing this card at the bottom of the sources, it doesn't leave. It gets blocker. So this makes your Lord Nightmon blocker. And it's really good. But like I said, it's not searchable. It costs 2 to Digivolve. But its effect is really good. Like, that's the thing. Like, its effect is really good for DarkNightmon. Again, it's if you want to play it. And I could see you doing it. Because you're able to, so it keeps it from leaving. And I think Dark Maildramon is the one that has Twilight Trait. I could be wrong. But this card is good because you can search it with the old Monitamon, because it says Nightmon in text, which is what we care about. The Nightmon in text is the part we care about. And then, of course, if you really want to go for some nutty game combos, having access to 2 Lord Nightmon X Antibody instead of DarkNightmon X would be really good. So you did offer 1 on top of Lord Knight. You have Collision and Piercing. On Digivolve, you Digivolve 1 for a number of times you have your opponent's your Digimon. So if you have a full field of like 4 or 5, you're Digivolving 5, and then you stun their Digimon from Digivolving, which is really good. And then all turns, while you have Lord Knight or the X Antibody underneath, this game, all your cards with Nightmon gain 3k in Alliance. So this means Dark Knights are probably 13 to 10 to 12k without any boosting. Even your little Skull Nightmons can hit for huge checks. You can Alliance, yada yada yada. Like, in the funny and weird combo you can do, if you have this on field already, and you have a Deadly Axemon and a Skull Nightmon, you can swing Skull Nightmon. Alliance. Actually, I'll just put the combo, because the combo is actually pretty nutty you can do. Let me just pull up the cards. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to do this quickly because I can grab all the cards right now. Run one. There we go. Okay. So this is your field. You can go. So you have these on the field. So you can go swing with this Alliance. So you have 6k. You can then trigger the effect of Skull Nightmon to trash all the sources from a Deadly Axemon that's tucked underneath the Digivolve. So you Digivolve into this. So now you have the 3k from Lord Knight X. So there's already 11k. You have a 3k from Deadly Axemon. This is 14. Your security attack plus 1. So you have 2 checks. 3 checks with Alliance. Plus the 2k you get. You have 16k. 3 checks on this 1 stack alone. And this is a good pressure, because this means, okay, you're swinging 3 checks at 16. You're dying to like very few cards unless they're options. So that's why I like this. So it's a very good play. I'm going to test this more in the future. But these are plays you can do. Alright guys, so that was the updated Lord Nightmon, Dark Nightmon deck profile for 2.0. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section. I've been Michael, the Golden State Kings, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye now.